We have with us today Manu Joseph, editor of Open magazine. You're also the author of Serious Men, which won the Hindu Fiction Award, as well as Huffington Post put the book on its 10 best. Now, you wrote that the most outrageous aspect of journalism is its very revenue model, that is advertisements. What is Open's revenue model?
Oh, it's the same actually, but we hope that things will be better. After the Radia tapes, we had some advertisers pull out of Open. Actually, that's
really?
happened.
Which ones?
I don't want to name.
Come on.
No, that's
You're
because
open.
they don't.
You're open.
Yes, but there are no official reasons given, so it will be very unfair on my part to name them actually, because they don't say that we did this because you did that, but that's
So
what they do.
Tatas?
We know that. I don't want to name them actually.
Ambanis?
I don't want to name anybody.
Any other telecom people?
Because I don't have any direct evidence, but I know that that's, I know the reason behind that action. But what I'm trying to say is now, I have a lot of faith in the digital media and online. I would make a distinction between online magazine experience and the tablet magazine experience. Slowly, I think readers have to accept that if you want quality content, you have to pay. So when that happens, I think slowly a lot of publications can be somewhat more independent. Right now, the corporate sector is getting away with a lot. And in my opinion, if journalism were truly fair, I think a lot of corporates would emerge very poorly. But I don't think that can happen.
So they're controlled. Journalism today is controlled through the advertising, and also the
Largely.
government. The government is a huge advertiser.
Yes, but somehow it's more diluted, than say a corporate advertising. So it is more. Media houses are more worried about corporate advertisers pulling out.
But it's happened repeatedly in various publications.
Yes, that's true. So people want to be careful.
So are you careful now?
Well, we, by nature, we are not, we are very responsible, but we try not to let external factors interfere with our editorial policies.
But the reason why you say it is outrageous, this revenue model, is because of the corporate control in self-censorship that journalists have to then sort of exercise because of obvious repercussions.
Yes, and also it's outrageous because now what matters the most to us is also the corporate segment. For example, you take the Anna revolution, you take the 2G scam, and look at the way the media played it. It was portrayed as a political scandal, which it was. But
2G.
At its heart, it was actually a corporate scandal. But nobody could call it that.
Why
it was
not?
given a political tinge. See, actually that's very funny. You look at it, actually if you follow the Team Anna's so-called revolution.
You're mixing up two things.
No, I'm not. Actually,
2G?
It is a direct consequence of that. I'm just giving you an example, because the 2G scam triggered off a lot of things. Now, if you follow the revolution's coverage on TV, and most of the
You're calling Anna's movement a revolution?
I'm not calling that, I'm talking about the TV coverage. Most of the advertisers were involved in the 2G scam too. So I found it somewhat comical,
Advertising on the Anna news program. How do you think the media behaved during this Anna coverage? What do you think of?
In my personal opinion, it's very comical. I think hysteria is a right word to describe the way it was covered, and also partly because I think, in my opinion, a lot of senior Delhi journalists are not very aware of regional politics. For example, Maharashtra politics.
Or any regional politics.
Yes, a political reporter in Maharashtra would have a fair idea of what Anna Hazare is and his general profile. He or she wouldn't have been very excited by a fast by Anna Hazare because they are used to it in Maharashtra. But Delhi behaved in a very different manner.
There's also the atmosphere there. It was a mela, and a lot of the journalists got carried away.
Yeah. So it's fine. I mean, to me, the whole thing was a television ordained event, you know. And
but do you think this is the advantage that television has over print,
yes,
which you mentioned that advertisers pull out if you do a story in a particular way? But in the Anna story, although there were 2G scam people there and Anna's movement was all against corruption, they still continued to advertise.
Anna himself did not mention these corporates. See, Anna's movement also spared the corporate sector. So
Not
it was all very
specific,
beautiful.
not specific.
Yeah, they were not very specific, you know.
Open is owned by the RP Sanjeev Goenka group,
Yes.
and they have multi-crop businesses in various fields.
Yes.
Two questions. One, do they in some way, like Rupert Murdoch does, tell his editors that this is the
Yes.
political line you should take? Do they tell you that?
No, not at all.
Not even when you're doing a story about other corporates?
No,
Friends of theirs?
no.
It's
As far
never
as I'm
happened.
concerned, okay, I have complete editorial independence.
And if
It is possible that the promoter would not like some stories that we carry, but at least I'm under no pressure.
you know that if you do a story against the government, the repercussions are not against you much, more against the owners who
Yes.
have their houses raided and income tax.
Yes, I was in Outlook when the Rajas were raided, actually. I know these things can happen, so editors have a responsibility towards the promoters too, but I feel that the simplest thing to do at any given point of time is just do the right thing. It's not a moralistic statement. I feel that sometimes what are called morals are merely great logic. You know, in any given situation, if you can just focus on what you believe is the right thing, I think everything will be very simple.
Can there be a conflict of interest when a news organization is owned, like say the recent investments that have taken place, TV18 by Mukesh Ambani,
Yes.
the India Today Group by Kumaramangalam Birla? Do you think that that is a good thing, or do you think that it is going to damage journalism?
See, the larger interests of journalism, more money coming into the field, it's reasonably good. But yes, see that is the that is where editorial independence as a culture, I think, has to be understood and has to be promoted. Ultimately, it is up to an editor. Okay, an organization can be absolutely independent, okay, one day, and it can lose its independence just because one person leaves. So I would say that it depends on the journalist.
But the corridors of news organization are lined with editors who either walked out or were fired because they didn't follow what the owners asked them
That's
to do.
great. You should be willing to be fired. You should be willing to lose your job.
And then you become unemployable.
Yes.
And for most young editors who have a family to support, it's a tough decision to take.
It is.
You know, it's...
So I think ethics matter when you have to make tough decisions to make, not when you have very easy decisions to make.
That's true.
So I suppose that's fine.
In your City of Sperms, about a village called India?
Yeah, it is part of a series in Open called Why Delhi Hates Bombay, Why Bombay Hates Delhi.
I found that extremely interesting. I thought it was great fun. You've written, like a rich man's son, Delhi is a beneficiary of undeserved privileges. That is the heart of Bombay's contempt for Delhi. Bombay is a natural city, like all great port cities of the world. It was not created. Now, what you're saying is that Delhi was created because of the power center.
Yes.
Yeah? But Delhi as a center of power is an inheritance, a historical habit. And an unbearable consequence of this is the proximity of easy funds for various alleged intellectual pursuits, which has enabled it to appropriate the status of intellectual center. It is a scholarship, sure fooled me. It is a scholarship city, a city of think tanks, of men who deal in discourse, debates and policies, and of fake serious women who wear the sari the other way, I love that line, and become leftist nature lovers and diurnal feminists. Yes. Tell me, where are you from?
See, I was born in Madras, but I consider I'm a Malayali born in Madras, but I consider Bombay as my home. Madras too, but I really love
Chennai,
Bombay.
maybe?
I can't call it Chennai. I call it Madras. You know,
Okay.
I can't bear to.
Why?
So I don't know. I grew up there, you know, and it was Madras, and suddenly someone calls you Chennai. It's like someone trying to rename you, you know.
Then you shouldn't go to Janpath. You should go to Queensway.
Yeah. See, And I really love Bombay, and that's where I spent my 20s. And I used to, because Delhi was the media headquarters, and I've been a journalist since the age of 20, and since
Where
the time.
did you start?
A magazine called Society. It is part of Magna Publishing Company.
I read it when I'm getting a pedicure.
Okay. Okay. I used to visit Delhi very often, and I was not very impressed.
So, tell me, how is Mumbai different?
Bombay, because
Or
it's such a
Chennai
tough
or
city.
Calcutta.
It's a tough city. In fact, what was interesting when I just moved to Bombay, when it was 2021, was that a lot of former college friends also moved to Bombay. But most of the rich kids just could not take Bombay, because Bombay is somewhat merciless. When you say if you want to feel rich, you have to be really rich. Okay, otherwise Bombay makes you feel very poor. And everybody's equal because of the sheer misery of this.
Isn't that the best education about life?
Yes, why not? In fact, it is. I think all single people should work in Bombay. Because you're on your own. Your parents can't save you. You have to deal with very crazy landlords and brokers, and you develop a certain character. When you don't have a safety net, you automatically become a very different sort of a person. And I see a lot of people in Bombay have that. There is a certain work ethic. Now all this are. I know this is generalization, but,
No, but
time
okay.
and again
it's
you see that it's in the
experience.
degree.
It's your experience.
Yes.
So what happened after Society?
Yeah, I got a call from Outlook, and Tarun Tejpal interviewed me. And I remember he interviewed a few people, and then he went in and told some reporters saying, all these are duds, what do we do? But some of them convinced him to hire me. So he gave me a job.
So
and,
Tarun
to me
Tejpal
it was a
thought you were a
journalist.
dud?
Sorry?
Tarun Tejpal thought you were a dud?
Yeah, I think so. He denied that. I mentioned that to him on stage in Jaipur. He denied that.
I see.
But I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
So then from Outlook you went to Open.
Yeah.
Is it? It's not a bad
No,
job.
no. From Outlook I went to the Economic Times, and then the Times of India, and then I went to Open.
Now, one of the other things that you've written about, coming back to journalism, is that it is for the same reason that the greatest misfortune of Indian journalism is that it is headquartered in
Yes.
Delhi. Explain that.
There is a Delhi state of mind. The hierarchy of news, for instance.
What is the Delhi state of mind?
It is-
Because I was brought up in Bombay up till the age of 11.
Okay. And you think these two cities are similar?
Not at all.
They are not.
But I love both.
Yeah.
I love both. I have no, this again, one against the other.
That's because you're very rich.
I don't deny that.
See, when you are from the middle class, and I mean, I'm talking about, now I have a daughter, I wouldn't want to live in Bombay, so a lot of things change, okay, I'm not denying that, It's just that I understand Bombay because Bombay is me, and some people are very Bombay, and some people are very Delhi,
Well, I must tell you that when we were in Bombay, we weren't very rich.
If you say so. But anyway, so...
No, but there's an element of growing up in a mohalla, in a colony, this street, where you learn the street smarts on the street. Is that what you're talking about, Bombay?
No, I'll tell you, we can talk about a larger overarching comparison.
First explain the Delhi state of mind.
I'll give you an. See, here, the cartel is very important in Delhi because it's very useful. You belong to a set of people, and you have, for instance, the right college degree, and you're from the right family, and you move in a particular circle. It'll really contribute something to your life, career, etc.
Manu,
It will in Bombay.
One second. Now, those people who come from the so-called right college are mocked. They're made fun of. Anyone who talks with that Stephanian accent is
that
so
is
out
gone.
of date
See, that is
and
only out of
sounds like a joke.
That is not.
Anyone who sounds in that Hoff
But
style.
Harvard is not a joke.
Regional,
See, it
a
is
regional
just the
accent
times
is
have
now
changed.
the currency of today.
Correct. St. Stephen's is not taken very seriously now, the times have changed. But a good foreign degree from a top university would still take a reasonably mediocre person a great distance in a place like Delhi.
So now carry on
so
about
the whole
Delhi state of mind.
conversation and the projection of ideas, repeating what you've read, plagiarizing the opinion of others and throwing the names of authors who you respect, and the economists who you follow, and the ideology, this, that, It's impressive for 30 minutes,
So it's status climbing talk.
It's talk, and it's not that they don't mean it, okay, but they do love talking, and what they talk has to reflect what they feel should be the perception of the world of them. In Bombay, it's somewhat more casual, and it's more relaxed, and I find it more honest,
I don't think there's any pressure in Bombay to be an intellectual.
In fact, you'll be laughed at, if you're...
Not
if
you.
As in you.
Not me, you.
Impersonal pronoun, yeah. So I like the casual approach of Bombay. In fact, in Delhi, when I just moved to Delhi, which was 1.5 years ago, and for some reason, a lot of people wanted to meet me, which I thought was very interesting. In Bombay, nobody would...
So what kind of people wanted to meet you?
A particular kind of typical Delhi people, same but I realized
politicians.
that some politicians, but usually most of them journalists. But I realized that I don't know if you follow chess, the E4, the first move is conversation.
Oh, I see.
So
okay.
How they're going to judge you and what they're going to think about you is entirely based on conversation. And Bombay, you talk about things that really matter to you, which is about house rents, and it could be schools or
Got it.
other things, films. Not that people do not talk about these things in Delhi, but it's also the journey. I've been meeting people from other walks of life, and I feel that this intellectual discussion is somewhat less intense in non-journalistic and somewhat non-scholarly professions in Delhi. But even there, it's there. You just as a social experiment, you can start a conversation about politics, and they're so well informed about various things that they would have a view. But if you read all the newspapers, you will know where the view is coming from, which is a different issue. It's okay. I mean, I used to hate Delhi, but now I've learned to laugh.
What about this, which I find very common in Delhi, is the boasting, the lies.
Yeah.
That I had dinner with so-and-so
Yeah.
last night, I was at her
Absolutely.
house
That's
the
very
day
funny.
before.
But it
How do you deal
works.
with the lies?
It works. What
Because
I
you know
realized
they're
in
lying.
Delhi is that
and
if
a lot
you,
of people believe them.
I don't know if it's lies, but what I know is that if you do it smartly, it really works in Delhi.
I've lived here longer than you, and I've seen that the frauds eventually come out as frauds. They can only last just that long. I've seen everybody come full circle.
That's good. That's good if that happens.
I
But you
think
have to
it does.
talk in Delhi. You have to talk. That's very crucial in Delhi.
And in Bombay, you have to just feel.
Just faff. Bombay you faff, and in Delhi you talk.
That's not bad.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when we come to the Barkha thing, I was watching the program that Barkha had at NDTV after you published the tapes, in which she had Sanjay Baru, Dilip Padgaonkar, you, and Swapan Das Gupta. And Sonia Singh was moderating it, poor baby. She was really up against the wall. And one of the things that after watching it, I found two things happened. One, Barkha never answered your question about why she didn't do the story that she was talking about with Nira Radia. She never answered that question. You never answered her question
Yes.
of why did you not get in touch with her
Yes.
before publishing it.
Yes.
Why didn't you tell her that you
Yes.
were scared of the story being scuttled?
No, that was not the reason
What
at
was
all.
the reason?
Actually, you're trying to
What
put
was the
words
reason?
in my mouth.
Sorry.
So one was that at that during that discussion, I knew that a lot of people. I mean, I would love to talk about open anywhere, but I knew that there are people who are watching the show are more interested in knowing about Barkha and what she has to say about the whole issue. And also, I was very surprised that for a person of her experience, she was not defending herself properly. I was not there to destroy anybody or
Yes, it
do
was
anything.
disappointing on her
I was really surprised because, see, as I've explained many times, sometimes a journalistic story, even a powerful journalistic story, need not be a judgment in itself. It is a way of telling a story, And then you see what happens, and then a lot of things come out. That's what a good story has to do. Now, the reason why I didn't contact her was very simple. I was not confident that, for example, look at the world before that whole discussion on NDTV. Look at the world before when the Open magazine published.
Got it. Okay. Got it.
We have all these transcripts, and we are hearing these conversations of various people. Now, if I'm going to call Barkha, what makes you think I wouldn't? I mean, I have very good reasons to believe that the first person she would call would be Nira Radia. So there is nothing about the entire transcripts which even suggested that she would not do something like that. So why would I do something like that? So if I have the opportunity to carry the transcripts again, if there was another Radia,
no, but if she called Nira Radia, then what?
I don't know. It can lead to complications. You don't have to know the nature of complications, but as an editor, when you can sense that there will be some kind of complications.
Complications meaning the pressure to stop the story.
Never know. It need not be.
We are talking about the same thing.
No, I can give you an example which is somewhat darker. When I went to the PAC to answer some questions, I was told by one politician. I mean, he was asking similar questions. Then one person said, maybe you would have died in a road accident. Journalists die in road accidents all the time, So this is a darker side of the whole thing. See, what I mean with you don't need to know the nature of a complication. You just know that it's a big story. You know that a lot of people are not interested in this coming out. So you just try to simplify the world for you. And
why didn't you answer that on television when she was?
See, I could have answered. It's just that you should also understand I'm not a television person. I was there as a journalist. I was not trying to be a smart TV, predator. I really wanted to know what she has to say. I was not there to make her look bad. I was, and I also know that the viewers. You really look at that whole setup, okay? There's millions of viewers on NDTV. Okay? You really think they had any interest in me or Open? I don't think so. I wanted to be. First of all, I thought the first 15 minutes of the show were just wasted. Okay, because I don't know what was happening. Okay, so I thought there was no time. Yeah, and I thought, okay, now this is not as simple as I thought it would be. So these were very elementary questions, and I immediately answered them the moment I came back to my office. In my column, I explained Open's stand, and not only that, we had explained it before the show in the Open magazine. Okay, I presume that Barkha wouldn't have read Open magazine after the release of the Radia tapes. So I didn't answer those questions because they were very simple questions.
No, but Manu, when you are on television and she in turn is attacking you
yes.
as practicing poor journalism.
In retrospect, I should have just answered the
that
question.
You should have contacted me.
Yes.
Why? She kept repeatedly
in fact,
asking
what I wanted to tell her was that I am not naive.
And she was, Barkha was asking you as a journalist that you should ask my side of the story.
Yes, but I also thought that the intensity of the questioning was being diluted, okay, by the relentless focus on me and Open. I just wanted her to answer a particular question at that time, and I know that, see, these are also experienced TV journalists who say something and then they can connect it to another thing, and then the discussion is lost. Okay, so I'm not then maybe in retrospect I should have just told her that she may have described herself as an innocent and gullible editor, and probably I'm not. So
there is also one area that there was a lot of tapes that were not leaked,
yes.
and a lot of tapes, and having spoken to Nira Radia, I believe, according to Nira, she says that there is a huge amount, there are many discussions that Barkha had with her which were related to just getting an interview with the players, Raja and Kanimori. And she said that was not included, and only the portions that it makes Barkha look like she's in collusion with her were included.
It's possible, you can say anything, there could also be a conversation, someone can say that where I was singing the national anthem because I'm a patriot. you can say anything. Actually, I can't comment on this.
No,
because we
the
have
question
not
is that
heard
you were
those
given
tapes.
you were given tapes. There is the possibility that you were given them selectively. Obviously, they were selective because they were, you know,
There
more.
was always, we were aware of that. As long as a particular conversation was complete, okay, we decided we can still go with this.
Okay.
See, otherwise, the number of conversations, you know, that these people could have had, I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
you know, there would be plenty.
You wrote that we decided to break the last standing code because it did not make sense to us. We reached the decision to run the story not only through the infirmities of moral force, but also largely through the clarity of artistic confidence. We wanted to do journalism our way. We knew there will be retribution now or later. That too is a journalistic process. You wrote about that Indian journalism has stayed away from our politicians'
Yes.
sex stories,
Yeah.
which we all know and talk about, but it never gets
Yes.
printed. And I support that. I really don't think anyone's personal life is our business unless they're sleeping with a Pakistani agent or something like that. So you wrote about
But the
that.
Tiwari case is
Yeah,
put
Tiwari
an
broke
end to
that.
that.
But after that, we've gone back to
I
mouth
think so.
shut because
Yes.
a lot of stuff has happened and
Yes.
nobody talks about it. After Singhvi's affair, one can't really say
Oh yeah, there
what
was
the
that too.
what the lines are anymore. But the last standing code, as you wrote, was journalists exposing
Yes.
fellow journalists.
Yes.
I want to ask you, was that a dilemma at any time in your
Yes.
mind?
I will be lying if I told
tell
you
me,
that.
what
I
did you
wouldn't-
think?
See, it's just that one, it's very unpleasant to do any story which embarrasses or damages other people. It is very unpleasant, and by nature, I'm generally a happy person, you know, and it always makes you think, is this important enough? And also, I don't know Barkha and Veer Sangvi very well, but whenever I met them, I've only had very cordial relationships, you know, with them. And of course, they have their fellow journalists. That's always weighing on your mind. So yes, in terms of sheer comfort, you know, of doing this, I didn't do this to enjoy myself, you know. But if I had not done this story, I would have felt like one of no, it didn't make any impact to Open's.
It put you on the map, Manu.
No, see, our core readers had always discovered us, you know, even in fact long before Radia, and many of them were very disappointed with Radia and what are you guys doing, too much politic kind of stories, you know. So that's been the reaction of our core.
It's an established thing that it put you on the map, and
Probably
it's a good thing. Why not?
Yeah, maybe one particular, you know, segment has discovered Open and they've started reading Open, probably because of Radia. But
Come on, you're sort of playing with that. Fact is, you have an expose which blows the country apart,
Yeah.
and it's got to put your magazine where nobody else was reading it before.
No, I think a lot of people were reading us before. I think a lot of people were reading us before, and in fact, a lot of people who would have followed the Radia, you know, that the readership which kind of really loved the Radia tapes,
were already
they've gone
reading
back. You know, they don't.
I don't
read
know.
Open
I mean,
again.
it's very
Anyway,
hard to
that's
believe.
anyway,
Yeah,
that's
let's
a
leave
different
that.
issue. Yeah.
Now, tell me, did you have to face any fallout personally or professionally after the Radia tapes?
Not that I'm aware of. You know,
Did other journalists treat you differently?
Yeah, I suppose I didn't know too many journalists at a personal level, so I wouldn't be able to comment on, you know, whether they've started reading. But I know that I also have a career as a novelist. You know, I know that it's probably damaging as a novelist, you know, to do something like this, because as a new novelist, I've just written one novel and I'm coming up with the other one. You need friends wherever you can find them, you know. The last thing you want enemies and people who are wary of you. So, as a journalist, I sense that it's probably been somewhat damaging to my career as a novelist. That's my analysis. I hope I'm wrong.
Well, if we go by your analysis about Delhi, you're in a good shape, because if you have the power, people will still be your friends.
It depends. I mean, see now.
And Open has the power now.
Well, I wouldn't use the word power, but
yes,
you know,
in your Delhi equation that you have described, accepting that, then you have the power, so you're in a safe place, so you can do what you like.
Yeah, I hope so. It's just that people are not able to place us. Another thing about Delhi is that the reason why all these things are so personal is that they feel that you are from a camp. If you do this, you must be from that camp, you know.
Yeah.
And if you don't do this, you must be from this camp.
That is a problem.
And one achievement, I believe, of Open is that we have managed to confuse everybody by not being in any camp and just doing what we feel is a good story.
So what would you say is the long-term impact of your story?
So, you know, you look at it, Gopi from The Pioneer has done a lot of, you know, the investigative journalism.
People just forgot about the
exactly, you know, but he did a lot. But then the transcripts were very sexy and dramatic, and these were hugely popular television personalities. So it became a big story after the publication of the transcript, and you know, the cancellation of licenses. And see, it has contributed in terms of debate and a few more specific action from the part of the government.
But not the system.
System, it's going to take a long time. You know, I don't think that is our intention either, to change the system or to change the world. You know, we just
I thought that's why journalists became journalists.
But when they're in the 20s, you know, then you realize that the world is what it is.
The kind of thing that you showed, and that the transcript showed, the kind of manipulations. In one sense, Nira Radia was simply doing her job.
Yes, I thought she was very smart too.
Really smart.
Yeah, very impressive, I thought.
And it's just that the people that she was playing with were the ones who were exposed.
In fact, I think the only person who was really sticking to her brief was Nira Radia.
Exactly. Now, when you got the pen drive, you said something rather interesting. It arrived, even for a pen drive, it was small.
Yeah.
It was further diminished by the fact that it had arrived too easily.
Yes.
Now, when it arrived in a pen drive, your first question would be who gave it?
Yes.
And the fact that the government did not go after you in any way must make you feel or believe that it was from the
I don't know.
from the government.
We tried to find out, and we couldn't find out from where it came. And Barkha had tweeted that now the source of their tapes is the real story, isn't it? And I fully agree.
It is.
If we find the source of the tape, we'll carry it. You know, but I don't know who the source is.
But you didn't think of. Obviously, you wrote about that also, about the motives of the person who leaked it.
I've explained that. That I explained on the show, and I was misunderstood because
Please explain
the
it.
moderator and Barkha were laughing at that point. And see, all of journalism depends on the motive of someone or the other.
Well, all plants do.
No, yeah, plants and even all of journalism, even in an interview, you know, there is a motive involved. That's why people grant interviews. You know, people want to talk. But within this framework, if one can do one's job within the ambit of ethics, I think it's fine. It's still good journalism. You know, for example, one could be an embedded journalist, you know, taken by the Indian Army somewhere. You know, but if you're able to report correctly, not be influenced by the people who are sponsoring your trip, let's say.
And that would be the last time you'd be embedded.
Yes, that's a different matter, you know. So you have to decide whether you want to go again or whether you want to tell the force. So these are just decisions.
No, but you were saying that, going back to, you were trying to explain when Sonia and Barkha.
Yeah, so I was saying, okay, that obviously there was a motive, okay, behind the leak of these tapes. But as long as these tapes were authentic, and we were very sure that they were authentic, we used conventional means of journalism. We didn't send it to a lab. Not that that's foolproof, by the way.
I know.
So we were very sure, and nobody has questioned the authenticity of the tapes. Okay, we were very sure that we can carry this story. What we didn't know was the motive. Okay, but that does not matter.
That's what you were trying to say on that show?
Yes.
Going back to the fact that you have had no repercussions from the government after this leak.
Yes.
Which means it's some part of the government.
I don't know. I don't
All
know.
the
I won't
corporates
be able
were
to
exposed in this, who were in this game. None of the corporates benefited, did they? Or would you say that one Anil Ambani did?
I don't know. I have no information.
Would you say that Ratan Tata benefited?
I don't know. I won't be able to comment because I don't have enough information to answer.
No, but going by the tapes themselves.
You know? I think everybody emerged poorly for some time, and everybody has gone back.
Is there any corporate who did not emerge poorly. In the telecom
See,
field.
I can't talk about it for various reasons, because
But in the
I want to comment on something like this when I have enough information.
Okay, are you working on it?
I don't know, actually.
Yes, you are.
Yes. I don't know.
You're working on it?
I don't know.
That's
We'll see.
great. I mean, give us
see,
hope.
most stories. In
Give
fact,
us
that is
hope,
another thing
Manu.
about this story. You don't know if a story is a story until it's over. Most of the
Exactly.
time, you work on so many things.
Yeah, that's true. Well, thank you very
Thank you
much,
so
Manu,
much.
for being
Yeah.
so open and frank.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
No pun intended. Thank you. Okay.
Thanks.